Hello everyone and welcome back to this brand new video. This video is going to tackle one of my favorite decks, one of my favorite archetypes, and one of my favorite cards, Scarab God. Now we all know that Amonkhet Remastered hit Arena this Thursday and it introduced a lot of cool cards like Scarab God, Thoughtseize, Drakehaven that I covered yesterday, so if you haven't watched that, do consider watching it. But this video is going to be a whole different deck and a whole different world. It's going to tackle my favorite card, Scarab God. Now I go way back with this card because first of all it helped me meet one of my friends in my LGS. He had a huge thing for Scarab God. He kept telling me why he likes it. So if you're watching this video, I'm pretty sure you recognized yourself, so let's skip that part. Now the other reason I really like that card, it's because it helped me win my first major tournament, the Pioneer Weekend at my LGS. So this card has a special place in my heart, and let's just not get too emotional with this DeckTech, let's jump right into it. So for my one job slot, I'm playing Opt and Thoughtseize. Opt helps you with card selection, especially the longer the game goes. So in case you're playing maybe against a control mirror, you would like bottom Shatter the Sky and not draw it. Thoughtseize is an insane card, and I'm glad that Amonkhet Remastered introduced this card. It's one of my favorite cards because it's simply so skill intensive. Discarding is so skill intensive, especially when you find two cards that might bother you in the late game. So beyond that, you might think that losing 2 life in an aggressive format is a problem. Like right now, I believe with my testing that the format can handle you playing Thoughtseize in the main board, but in case you're that worried about it, you can maybe cut it down to 2, or you could play it in the sideboard if you're worried, but so far my testing showed that it's fine. Censor is an insane counter spell, and I've covered it yesterday in my Drakehaven deck. So briefly, Censor is good because it forces your opponent to play around it and maybe not play on curve. And second of all, if it's a top deck, you can always cycle it and draw into something else, so it's not a problem. Cast down is essential because you need the removal in your main board as a control deck. Now if you prefer playing Heartless Act over cast down, feel free to do that, but I prefer cast down. Thought Erasure is very good hand disruption. The surveil effect is quite cool because sometimes you can surveil Chemister's Insight, so you can draw on the same turn we play Thought Erasure. And having 6 hand disruption spells is quite good because it ensures that most of the time, or at least 50% of the time, I will have hand disruption in my opening hand. Murderous Rider is quite a good card. It's our catch-all removal spell, but the fact that it's flexible enough for you to play it as a creature against aggressive decks is cool. Now a lot of people forget that, oh, I can just play Murderous Rider as a creature, block, stop them 1-drops and gain some life. So don't forget to do that. Remember that you can always play Murderous Rider just to gain some life and stall the game. Absorb is good because it's a counter spell and you need counter spells. The life gain I found to be quite essential, so if at a later time the format is less aggressive, you could play another counter spell, like for example Sinister Sabotage or the counter spell that cycles. So Sphinx's Revelation is our card advantage engine, and as opposed to the Pioneer deck that I used to win, the Pioneer deck uses Dig Through Time as a card advantage engine, but sadly we don't have access to that yet on Arena. So for now I'm playing Sphinx's Revelation and it proved to be quite good. Besides that, we're playing Shatter the Sky as a board wipe because we are a control deck, we need board wipes. Now why am I playing Shatter the Sky over Wrath of God? That's a very good question. The reason is very deep. I don't have enough wild cards, so I'm gonna have to play Shatter the Sky for now. But Wrath of God is way better. Put in Wrath of God if you have access to the wild cards. Chemister's Insight is good because it's card draw, and the other reason I like it is that it improves the fact that Thoughtseize is a bad card in the top deck war. What do I mean by the top deck war? Assume your opponent has 0 cards in hand. Every time they're gonna draw a card, they're gonna simply just play it, or if it's a land, they're gonna put it on the field. So the later the game goes, Thoughtseize becomes a bit worse, although it's an essential card in the mid game, but usually late game when it's top deck wars, you're not gonna have anything to do with Thoughtseize. So Chemister's Insight pitching Thoughtseize or pitching Cast Down or Shatter the Sky in control matchups is quite essential, so I like that card in the main board. Vraska's Contempt is good because not only does it catch planeswalkers or creatures, it can exile Uro, which is a problematic card, so you can exile it, get rid of it, never have it escape again, so I encourage you to play that card in Historic. Teferi of Dominaria is our cool win condition. It's one of our win conditions actually because Scarab God is our other win condition. Now I really like Teferi in this deck because we have a lot of ways to use his untap 2 ability even the turn we play it, so like You could plus Teferi on top 2, maybe keep Censor up, cast down, or you could Warrant Warden, which I will cover a bit later why I chose it. And it pairs very well with Scarab God, because Scarab God says that you can pay 4 mana to exile something and then create a copy of it. A token copy of it, that's a 4/4. Now, in case you have Teferi and you have Scarab God, and you have 6 lands, that means that you can double activate Scarab God in 1 turn, and trust me, that's not gonna take a while for you to win the game when you double activate Scarab God. Let's cover Ashiok quickly. Why am I picking Ashiok over a third Teferi? I really like Ashiok, not only because her -3 is insane, it's because her -3 also makes Thoughtseize a better card in the late game. What do I mean by that? So imagine your opponent has a threat on the field and a card in their hand, and you have a Thoughtseize, okay? So you could Ashiok minus, in case your opponent kept another like land in their hand, just not playing that, they're not playing it, and then they exile that land from their hand. The card that you were trying to remove is in your opponent's hand. It was bounced back there. So you could always use Thoughtseize to make them discard it. So the mere fact that Ashiok is in play improves the fact that you have a Thoughtseize in your hand late game. Now, Scarab God is the reason I'm playing this deck. It's one of my favorite cards. And a key interaction in this deck with Scarab God, now, if you want to read Scarab God, feel free to do so. He helps you scry X. He makes your opponent lose X life, where X is the number of zombies on your upkeep. And the reason that you play him in a control deck as a finisher, because his 4 mana ability makes it that you can use any creature your opponent has in his graveyard against them. And the other line of text that sometimes people forget is when Scarab God dies, return it to your owner's return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. That makes this card a very good card even against control mirrors, because the more they try to remove it in like casual ways, which is just destroying it, he's gonna simply go back to your hand. He's gonna go back to your hand, and then you can directly replay him, and it's gonna force them to use multiple cards from their hand to deal with them. Now, some key interactions I want to mention with Scarab God. The Teferi thing I mentioned to you, you can always untap 2 lands and then reanimate something else on end step. A key interaction is between Scarab God and Murderous Rider. So the replacement effect of Murderous Rider going to the bottom of its owner's library goes on the stack. So in case you have an active Scarab God on the field and your Murderous Rider dies, before the replacement effect happens, you can use Scarab God to exile the Murderous Rider and get back a 4/4 zombie version of him. So that's something you should keep note of. Now, another key interaction in Scarab God is the trigger of scrying X and your opponent losing X life goes on the stack. So in case you really need to scry on your upkeep, before the trigger happens, you can always pay 4 mana, exile something from your opponent's graveyard, and before the trigger has happened, you will actually get to lose X life, and you make your opponent actually lose X life and scry X. So that's it for the win conditions that I have. Warrant Warden is a very cool card, because it time walks your opponent, it gives you perfect information of what they're going to top deck, and paired with Thoughtseize, you will have even more perfect information, because you will know their hand and you will know what they will draw again for the next turn. So that's quite cool, and I like it because in control matchups it's actually not a dead card, because the Warden side forces them to either counter it, and it can also force them to use their removal spell, and the less removal spells that they have, the more chances you will have of sticking a Scarab God on the field, untapping with it, and then activating it. Now for the mana base, I'm playing 1 Castle Ardenvale, 1 Castle Ventress, and the rest is pretty generic: an island, a swamp, and I will leave it in the description down below, so no need to worry about the land base. Why am I not playing Castle Lockwind? Because this deck usually doesn't reach a position where you have a few cards in hand, and I'm never gonna actually use Castle Lockwind to win with that. I mean, to draw a lot of cards with that, because I simply don't have the life to pay. And if you notice, we don't have a lot of main board ways to gain life besides Sphinx's Revelation, Murderous Rider, and Vraska's Contempt. That's not enough for me to want to play Castle Lockwind, especially if the meta is going to be aggressive. Now for the sideboard, I'm playing 3 Brazen Borrower. This card is very good against Citadel decks, because you can always bounce Citadel before they get to cast something else with it, and you could also pressure them with Brazen Borrower, force them to have less life when they actually play their Citadel. They won't have anything to play with it. Mystical Dispute is here against control matchups, but if you're not facing a lot of control matchups, if you want to change that card, you can always go for Dovin's Veto, but I'm liking Mystical Dispute so far. Plague is a card that deals with Field of the Dead tokens, and we all know that Field of the Dead is annoying, but one thing that I am expecting to happen, I am highly expecting Field of the Dead to get banned, because they simply have way too many ways to tutor it for now. They have Golos, and they have Hour of Promise. Hour of Promise is insane in that deck, and it's simply too much for this meta to handle. It's pushing away a lot of fair decks, and I don't think pushing away fair decks is something that Wizards want for this format. So that's it for the Virulent Plague. Unmoored Ego is once again against Field of the Deck, but you could also use it against combo decks that need one card to win, so you can Unmoored Ego, remove that card, and then you win. Shatter the Wreckage is against a zombie, yes, it can be used against Field of the Dead decks, but sadly it gets them basic lands, which could also get them back zombies. But it's also here because you need an instant speed word wipe sometimes against goblins, because some days you won't have a counter spell to stop their goblins, and if they have haste, or like if they manage to pull off the Monkus and he will get your opponent all of the zombies, you can't stop that on your turn. On their turn, so you're gonna have to set the wreckage. Shatter the Sky is here if you need another board wipe against very aggressive matchups. And then we have the 1-2 punch of Baneslayer Angel and Lyra Dawnbringer. Why am I not playing 2 Baneslayer, or why am I not playing 2 Lyra? Because I'd rather have this package, because Lyra actually pumps Baneslayer Angel. So that's something very cool. And the main thing I wanted to mention is that these cards can be mainboarded against, they can be mainboarded, but they can also be sideboarded against Field of the decks, because these give you a lot of turns to chump block. And usually against your deck, most Field of the decks are going to remove all of their removal spells, and you will have the way to punish them with Lyra and Baneslayer Angel. So that's going to be pretty much it for the DeckTech. If you did enjoy this DeckTech, please do consider subscribing, because it helps the channel a lot. If you want to help the channel beyond that, you can check out the Patreon link in the description down below. And with that, I'll see you in the games. Going into our first game of Esper Control, this is not something you want to keep, because you don't have double blue for absorb. This is gonna enter tapped, and even though I have Thoughtseize on turn 1, I don't have a lot of things to do, so I'm gonna have to mull this hand. Now this is not a way better hand, but I guess the fact that I have Thoughtseize, Thought Erasure is enough for me to kind of eat my opponent's hand away, so I'm gonna keep it, and I'm gonna have to bottom the Thoughtseize. Now I don't know what my opponent is playing yet, so I might regret this decision later on, but I think for now it's a pretty conservative decision. We're gonna have to play Thoughtseize. I actually lost 4 life on turn 1 just to have this, but I think it's good enough for me to want to do that, especially that I get to eat this Collected Company. I don't think I want to deal with the Collected Company this early on in the game. So we're gonna have to pitch this Collected Company, and we're gonna just have to pass and wait. So guys, reminder to stay hydrated. See, watching my videos not only shows you quality Magic content, it reminds you to stay hydrated. Why did I not Thought Erasure? Because I'd rather cast down in case my opponent plays something else currently. Alright, so if he plays his Mayhem Devil, I will most likely cast it down. If he plays another Blood Artist, I'm gonna have to cast down this Blood Artist before this one enters. Why did I do that? Because this Blood Artist would have seen the other one dying, I would have lost even more life, and that's not something I want. So we're gonna Thought Erasure, because my opponent didn't do the thing I wanted him to do. And I think Bolas' Citadel is far enough that I don't want to deal with it yet, so we're just gonna have to deal with this Mayhem Devil. And I don't think I want another land. I think currently what we're searching for is either a Scarab God to kind of reanimate all of these and use them, or we could actually be searching for a counter spell to deal with this Bolas' Citadel in the future. And actually Mayhem Devil is not that annoying. Why? Because I could always Warrant Warden it, force them to redraw it, and that way they're not gonna have enough lands for Bolas' Citadel. So I'm actually not that bothered by all of that. I played this because it's gonna enter tapped and I don't need it currently. So he's gonna actually attack with this Mayhem Devil, and now we're simply gonna force him to redraw it. Again, stay hydrated. Okay, so Blood Artist is fine, Gilded Goose is fine. Although this is getting a bit annoying. Let's opt. Castle Ardenvale is not what I need. We really need another Warrant Warden. That could be funny. That could be funny if our opponent goes back to replaying this, and then you know how it goes. I'm wondering if I'm gonna have to Murderous Rider this Blood Artist, and I think I'm gonna have to wait, but I'm gonna deal with this Gilded Goose for the main reason of me not wanting them to have enough ramp, because dealing with Gilded Goose makes them lose essentially a land drop, and it keeps them one turn further from playing Bolas' Citadel. Yes, it's gonna cost me 2 life, but we have the plan of playing Murderous Rider, or you could just play Scarab God now. That's actually interesting. Actually, I think I'm gonna play Murderous Rider just to have even more perfect information. So we're gonna play Murderous Rider. If he attacks with Mayhem Devil, once again we do the whole Warrant Warden thing. Alright, so opponent, let's Warrant you and give you back the Mayhem Devil to top deck next turn. I really wonder if he would use his own removal spell on this just not to redraw it. I really wonder if he would do that. Yes, gaining life is very essential currently. Sure, I mean it's fine, it's fine. As long as he doesn't play a land, he played a land, it's fine. Let's attack with our Murderous Rider and let's see what happens. Alright, let's now play our Scarab God, and we finally get to do my favorite thing, which is play a Scarab God. I'm gonna put a stop on my upkeep because I want to activate Scarab God before I get the trigger. So like I mentioned in the deck tech, this goes on the stack, so you can always activate. And I think I'm gonna get a Gilded Goose because I want the life gain. I really want the life gain. And it's a good card because you actually have it as a 4/4 flyer now. So a 4/4 flyer that can also ramp you for the future is good. I think I'm going to keep Absorb on top and Isolated Chapel. Why did I keep Chapel on top? Because that turns on Warrant Warden. So let's draw that. Let's play our land. Let's go to main phase actually, and then let's just... don't think I'm going to attack. Let's think about this. Actually, I'm going to attack with Scarab God. I don't think he can't kill it, and I don't think I can get punished for that. So let's see what our opponent has in mind. He takes 5. We're in a very good spot currently. Like Collected Company would be annoying, but besides that, there's not a lot that I mind him top decking. And he top decks a land. So now Absorb is very, very good. We're gonna once again activate this on upkeep. Now why is that? Because Gilded Goose makes mana. So I can actually activate Scarab God and keep Absorb up, which is enough for me. We're gonna get a 4/4 Mayhem Devil, although we don't sacrifice a lot of things, but in case opponent sacrifices something, we actually can use that. And now we're gonna Scry 3. I love Scarab God. I really like this card. I think any control player like me will love it. Alright, so we're not gonna attack with our Gilded Goose because we want to keep the mana up. We're gonna attack with our Scarab God. Now the interesting thing with Murderous Rider is that it's a zombie. So it actually scries with Scarab God. Alright, so we're gonna take 2 sadly, but it's fine with me. Reminder to stay hydrated when you take damage because it decreases the damage. If opponent top decks land and then plays Citadel, I think he's just simply gonna concede. Gilded Goose is fine, opponent. If you're gonna have to wait a turn to activate your thing, it's fine with me. And once again, we're gonna put a stop on our upkeep. And I might actually keep a land on top. So let's go into my turn. Activate Scarab God, get a Blood Artist. Let's resolve that. I love this card. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that before, but I really like this card. Sphinx's Revelation, Ashiok. I really like all of this. Yeah, I think we're gonna keep all of this, but we're gonna keep a land to draw that land. I don't think I want Ashiok really. I think it's not necessary at this stage. Let's just draw and play our land, shocking it in. And now I can attack with a lot of things. I can attack with Scarab God, and he simply does not want to see this. Alright, so a very good game 1. We got to show the power of Scarab God, but let's go into our game 2. Now, seeing how he's Jund Sacrifice, what do I really want to play against him? Let's consider this. Now, Censor becomes way worse when you're on the draw and not on the play, so I'm gonna take that out. I think we can put in Lyra and Baneslayer Angel. They don't have a lot of ways to deal with them. And Brazen Borrower is good in case you need to bounce Blood Artist before wrathing the turn after. Now besides that, what do I want to do? Let's consider things. Let's consider things very well. I think I like Warrant Warden enough to keep it. But the question is, do I need even more Wraths? I guess it doesn't really matter if I have a Wrath. I mean, if I have Warrant Warden over Wrath, so we might get rid of one. What else could we cut? That's the question. I think Vraska's Contempt is not that essential in this matchup. There's not that big creature that they end with. Besides that, I really wonder besides that, what could I take out? Let's think about this together. We only need to cut 1 card, so I guess we're fine. I think I'm gonna play 2 Borrowers and not 3 because Mayhem Devil capitalizes on them pretty well, and I think that should be enough to sideboard. So let's see what our opponent has in mind. Okay. Waiting for our opponent. Guys, if you're not a fan of Scarab God yet, I'm pretty sure after this amazing game 1 that you're actually a fan of it now. Thoughtseize, board wipe, Teferi. I'm gonna keep that. Why? Because, I mean, this might not seem like the best hand, but I get to take care of whatever thing they have in their hand. I get to get perfect information, and we have the Shatter to get rid of whatever annoying permanent is gonna be on the field. I'm gonna play this Watery Grave untapped, and then we're gonna Thoughtseize. I'm pretty sure everyone is sick of Thoughtseize already in Historic. Coco can go away. And I know that it doesn't have a lot in their hand, which is enough for me to be happy. It's gonna attack me for 1 with this scary Llanowar Elves. This actually hurts. Let's just play our Godless Shrine, and our hand keeps on getting better and better. We now have Sphinx's Revelation and an active Teferi on the field. That's enough for me to be happy. Now this is quite scary because he could be playing Citadel. He can't play it next turn because he doesn't have access to a black source. He needs double black. He could be playing it the turn after if I don't get Wrath. Sure, Collected Company is fine because we have Shatter. Double Mayhem Devil is fine. It's better than him hitting Blood Artist, making my Wraths a bit more annoying for me to play. Gonna be taking a lot of damage. I'm gonna be taking 6, 7, 8. In case he has a Blood Artist, I think this is lethal, right? Alright, Clothis is fine. Completely fine. Let's take 8. Sure, this is quite annoying. Why is this fine? Because we have Sphinx's Revelation, and we now have Baneslayer Angel as well. So let's Wrath. Sure, we're gonna be taking some damage, but we now have Baneslayer Angel. I might actually have to wait a turn before playing Baneslayer Angel, because if I shock this in, I'm gonna lose the Clothis. I wonder if there's a world where I want to play Teferi minus this. I think there is. I think there definitely is. Now, if they have another Collected Company or Coco, we're dead. But whatever. There are risks you need to take as a Magic player, and this is one of them. Okay, so he probably had a land. Let's plus our Teferi before making any rash decisions. Alright, Thoughtseize. You can play Thoughtseize now and then lose the game, but I think I'm not going to do that. I think we're going to play our Baneslayer Angel, and that should be enough to win us the game on top 2 to represent maybe Veto or something that he would be scared of. Scavenging Ooze is completely fine because I really don't care about my graveyard that much. I mean, winning is enough for me. Let's try to dig for something. I could have also casted down the Scavenging Ooze, but I don't really care about that for now. I want to force him to use it on his own creatures for now. Alright, opponent has a pause. So when your opponent pauses in these kind of situations, you stay hydrated. Okay, opponent, you can activate it 3 more times. Sure. Sure. Yes. Even 1 more time, opponent. This op doesn't seem like it's gonna ever resolve, does it? Alright, so 1 more activation, opponent. Is that it? Okay. So I think we're in a terrific spot because we can get rid of... I don't need another removals, but we can get rid of a Scavenging Ooze, and then I don't think this is gonna bother us that much after we gain 5 life each turn. So let's plus our Teferi. Let's play our land. Let's attack with our Baneslayer Angel. And I don't even think we need to deal with this because we have the Sphinx's Revelation, but I'm not gonna be a mean person and I'm gonna deal with it. Of course, force damage, because to give him an ounce of hope that he's actually gonna get to use it. Alright, let's untap, let's path. This is not gonna bother me at all. Now we're still digging for a counter spell because Buddha's Citadel could be still annoying from the top deck. So I want to just draw 3 with Sphinx's Revelation. I guess we do. Now usually you keep your Sphinx for as long as possible, but the fact that I only need a counter spell to win the game, or like to put me in an even better position, encourages me to use it this way. Another Teferi is not what we need. Now let's just hope he doesn't top deck Citadel, and I'm happy. Now this is what I meant by Thoughtseize becoming worse the longer the game goes. See, now it's not doing anything. I'm gonna activate... Actually, I'm not gonna activate it this turn because it doesn't do anything. We're just gonna pass. And we're gonna untap his land. Just it. Discard a card. Thoughtseize is not good. Funny enough, Thoughtseize discarded Thoughtseize, which is funny. Let's see. Now, a play you could actually do, by the way, in case you have an active Scarab God on the field and the Murderous Rider in your hand, you can Thoughtseize yourself. After you Thoughtseize yourself, you make yourself discard your Murderous Rider, and then you can reanimate your Murderous Rider with your own Teferi. Speaking of Murderous Rider, we get to draw him. Now, please counterspell. No counterspell yet. Now we're not winning yet, but we're in a very good spot. Very good spot. Let's just play this land, activate this Castle Ardenvale, and then we get to go to unstep, untap it, activate it again, discard a Thoughtseize once again because we don't need it currently. Now, as long as once again he doesn't top deck Citadel, we're happy. We're very happy. In case he does top deck Thoughtseize, not Thoughtseize, but it's a Citadel, we're very sad. Although I wonder if you could win with it without the setup, and that's gonna be pretty much it for game 1. And with that, let's go into game number 2. Going into our second game of Esper Control. I like the sound because we have Thought Erasure Censor, so we can set it up perfectly. So I think due to that reason, I'm gonna keep this hand. And opponent mulligan down to a lot. So this might be my opponent playing the Treasure Hunt deck. And if I have Censor on turn 2, the game I think is pretty much over, in case he's a Treasure Hunt deck. Yeah, it seems like he's a Treasure Hunt deck, so opponent, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna take your Treasure Hunt. He's not a Treasure Hunt deck, correct everything I said. He's mono blue tempo, a deck that we don't favor a lot against, to say the least. Now, what could we take? What could we take to bother our opponent the most? Spell Pierce is looking like the thing I'm gonna take, because in case he wants to play a threat and then I Spell Pierce and then I Censor, he can't Spell Pierce whatever I Censor. So that's the reasoning behind me taking Spell Pierce. I hope you got my point, but the point is that he can't play a threat and keep interaction up to stop Censor. Alright, we're gonna take one opponent, it's fine. I'm gonna cycle Censor because it's not gonna do a lot. I really wonder. This should cost 2, right? Don't know, it says cost 3. Yeah, I think we're gonna cycle Censor because it's not gonna do a lot currently, and we're not gonna cast down because it's gonna walk into a counter spell. Let's play Godless Shrine and pass. Sadly, we're in a very close spot. Now Spectre Sailor can draw cards, but if at any stage he goes to draw a card, we can always cast this down, which I'm happy about. So let's play a land and pass. Opponent, do you want to draw a card? I think you want to draw a card, right? Yes, thank you, opponent. Now, if I were in a spot, I wouldn't actually drawn a card, although I don't know what his hand is, so that could be something. Alright, so I'm happy about this interaction, or like about everything that transpired. And he doesn't have a threat as a follow-up. We're gonna play Fabled Passage, and we're gonna pass. He has another Spectre Sailor. Sure. And now he's not gonna actually draw a card, right? Yeah, now he's gonna start playing around it. Now sadly he has double counter spells, he has Dispersal into Wizard's Retort, so yeah, we're in a bad spot to say the least, although he doesn't have a lot of pressure and no Curious Obsession, so maybe, just maybe, we can come back into this. Gonna try to force him to tap out by playing Sphinx's Revelation for 3. This probably is gonna earn a counter spell, and then I can Sphinx's Revelation again to earn the other one, and then cast down, or like, and remove a spell. For sure it's gonna earn a counter spell, yep. And Warrant Warden could be enough for us to come back into things, so let's see what it does. Past you. Is this another threat? Opt is okay with me. Let's see. Yeah, this is probably going to be a Warrant Warden turn. He counters Warrant Warden, I go for Sphinx's Revelation. I can go for Sphinx's Revelation for 2. That should be enough. Warrant you. Does that earn the counter spell? It does not. Okay, my turn. I'm not gonna like just get my spell countered for nothing. I'm gonna wait for him to tap out before Sphinx's Revelation. Alright, let's make a 1-1. I'm gonna pressure you with a 1-1 the same way you're gonna pressure me with a 1-1. But the thing is, my 1-1s keep on increasing as the game goes longer. Yours don't. I'm gonna attack with a 1-1 and then we're going to pass. Now he drew a lot of lands, to be honest, and that it actually worked in his favor Because due to the reason that he drew a lot of lands, he can actually now keep interaction. Alright, I'm gonna Sphinx's Revelation and play around Spell Pierce, so we're only gonna go for 3. Because if he has Spell Pierce and he counters this, I'm in a very tough spot. Now I'm in a better spot. Opt is fine. Now, did he have Spell Pierce? Did he not have it? I can't tell for sure. I did not focus on the auto pass thing. He keeps drawing lands. I honestly feel bad for him. He shouldn't draw that many lands in this kind of deck. We're gonna attack with a 1/1 and force something out of him. Alright, doesn't force anything. Do we have enough to Vraska's Contempt and absorb? We do, so we're just gonna pass. Pass to you, opponent. Alright, before he draws, we're gonna Vraska's Contempt the Spectre Sailor. And then I have enough to pay for Spell Pierce. Wizard's Retort. I'm gonna counter your Wizard's Retort. And that's it, that's it, that's it, that's it. See, I like Esper Control because it has a lot of instant speed type interaction. So I got to like kind of force him to tap out. I got to resolve some things. Sphinx's Revelation got me back into this game, and we're just simply gonna attack with a 1/1 now for the rest of the game. This is probably the rest of the game for us. Make a token, pass. Ironborn Cutthroat is fine. Can always chump block it with the 1/1 we make. Another Spectre Sailor is not fine. Opponent, stop having Spectre Sailor after I counter your Spectre Sailor. That's not fun for anyone. Thank you for countering this. Now I have Shatter the Sky. And if he has another one, I mean, another counter spell, sure. But for now, I have Shatter the Sky to stop this madness. Sure. For sure. Shatter the Sky. Yes, easy. Easy, 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 easy. Why did I not play land? Because I want to keep it for Chemister's Insight. Let's see what our opponent has in mind. Stop top decking Spectre Sailor. I think I dealt with 3 of them, right? Yeah, we dealt with 3 of them. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. It's not really, but I'm trying to like calm myself down. Warden is insane. So we're gonna pass, I'm not gonna do anything on my main phase. Although now he can draw a card with Spectre Sailor. This is not looking well. This is not looking well at all for us. Another Curious Session, sure. That tells me that he actually does have something in hand to save it. Let's Warrant Warden first. That's Warrant. If he doesn't have interaction, he does have interaction. Let's try to dig for something else. You have double interaction, opponent. It's not possible for him to have it, but currently I'm playing to my outs, which is him not having anything, me drawing cast down, casting this down. We're gonna pay for. Do you have Spell Pierce? Alright, at least this resolves. And now I have a lot of good things from the top. I have Ashiok, I have Teferi. Ashiok now doesn't deal with this, but it deals with the 2 Curious Obsessions that I really need to deal with. And he doesn't have a lot of interaction. Yeah, the turn I needed things to get back into the game, I don't get anything. Please remove his spell. Yeah, we're not happy. We're not happy at all. Can set up a remove a spell with Castle Vanches, but I mean, he's gonna have 5 cards in hand. With 5 cards in hand, I wonder how much I can deal to him, like how much I can make him discard things, counter things. Yeah, this game 1 is not seeming like something we're gonna win, really. So let's just try with Castle Vanches. I think Cast Down is the best because Teferi is good, so maybe we keep him for the turn after. And I'm gonna definitely activate Castle Ardenvale to make a 1/1 because it's essentially free. And we're gonna pass the turn. If he goes to draw, we activate it on at end step. If he doesn't go to draw, we just tap him out on his turn. Cast down your Spectre Sailor, opponent. What's the response? Draw another card. Interesting. Very interesting. So I'm pretty sure that this is dead, to say the least. So what's the response now? I wonder. Easy, easy, never. Always had it. Alright, pass to you. But does that mean he has alts? Yeah. Probably has a handful of threats now. But it's fine, it's fine. Sure, play your land. Attack 2, I take 2. Sure. Siren Storm Tamer can get absorbed. Why am I absorbing Siren Storm Tamer? I really want to tap him out so I can resolve my Teferi. And he actually concedes. I won game 1? What? Alright, I'm not complaining. Let's see what we don't need. Alright, we don't need a lot of things. I think Scarab God's actually too weak for this matchup. And forgive me, this is a Scarab God deck. We got to showcase him last game, but I don't think this is a game where we can showcase Scarab God. Besides that, I think Sphinx's Revelation is too slow. I'd rather keep Settle instead of Shatter. Besides that, I think I'm gonna have to keep Teferi because we need a win con. And yes, Teferi is a win con, by the way. Besides that, Censor is out because it's not that good in game 2. And do I really want to take out anything else? Not really. I think maybe Warrant Warden. And then that's it. And yes, this happens for some reason. Let's just pass. Go to like game 2. I still wonder like why did he actually concede? Did he just draw all lands? And he conceded game 2. Alright, so even though my opponent has the advantage in the matchup, even though my opponent can probably win this game, he does not want to play against Scarab God. And that's completely understandable, guys. So guys, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please do consider subscribing because it helps the channel a lot. If you want to help the channel beyond that, you can check out my Patreon link in the description down below. And speaking of patrons, I wanted to thank them for making my content possible, and a huge shout out to Iron Mark Mac. And with that, I'll see you guys next time.